Well, this week we're looking at the Piko LGB Laden, which I guess is German for shop.
Oh, I guess so, yeah.
Anyway, it's a limited edition of their American Old West series.
I love those. They're so neat.
They're really neat. And these are readily available. The LGB Shop, being a limited edition, is a little harder to find. But you can pick these guys up on eBay and the hobby shops. They're around.
Okay.
They're quite readily available. Now, we ran into 8 of these on Tim Fitch's railroad.
I love that little scene right there. That was cool.
This is his little Old West mining town over here with his 3D printed 10 stamp and everything. But as part of his little Western village down here, he's actually used 8 of these Piko kits. And there they are. You can kind of see 3 of them in the shot right here, but he's actually got 8 of them down here if you look closely. Anyway, years ago I purchased just one, which is the limited edition LGB Shop.
Right.
And I've had this knocking around up in the attic now for
a few years.
A few years. Now, right here in this picture, we can sort of see the downside of Piko kits in general, and that's that they're really dramatically undersized.
Oh.
That train station behind the Piko kit is a Pola kit, and notice how much larger it is in terms of scale. The Pola kit is probably done to about a 1/22 scale. I'd be willing to bet the Piko kits are done closer to about a 1/24 scale.
Oh.
So they're just a little undersized, and maybe you can work with that and maybe not. Here's a figure standing in front, and you can see that he's almost hitting his head on the awning.
Right, so maybe they want you to do a forced perspective with that.
Well, I think there's a lot of cheating that goes on in garden railroading in general.
Right.
So there is a lot of forced perspective. Anyway, here's the kit as I purchased it, and opening it up, it's actually a really high quality kit.
Yes, it is. It's packaged well.
It's packaged really well, and as you dive in here, it's a very simple kit. For that reason, they're not terribly expensive as these things go. That set of 4 buildings only sells for about $100.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you can buy individual ones like this for around $30.
Oh, just buy the 4 set.
Yeah, the 4 sets. And the Pola building, like that train station, that's closer to $200.
Right.
So, yeah, you can save a lot of money by buying Piko instead of Pola. They're not nearly as nice a kit, but you know what? They're not bad at all.
Well, I think you could add to it if you wanted to.
Now, both of these German kits come with this glue. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. UHU. I don't know if that's just letters or you're supposed to pronounce it.
I think it's an acronym.
But for outdoor plastic construction, it's really what you want to use. I use a lot of Plastrux plastic weld, which is also quite weatherproof and good, although I think the UHU is better. And then for indoor work, I'll use the CA glue here.
Right.
But for outdoor, I might use a teeny drop of this to tack something in place, but that's all.
Right.
The instructions are wordless.
Ah.
As a kid, I used to call that worthless.
Yes.
I like to read my instructions and follow along. But it's so simple, you really don't need any verbiage. This thing just almost builds itself, and you can just look at the assembly pictures and very rapidly figure out how this thing's going to go together. It's really a simple build. Now, I found this incredibly clever.
That is an interesting piece.
There are these located at the corners of the walls, and you glue that big lump of plastic to the wall, and then you simply drop a plastic pin down through that joint. Of course, it comes with those pins, and it warns you here not to glue the pins. The reason being, you can lift those pins out of there and the whole thing breaks down into flat sections for storage.
Well, that's cool.
So if you want to be able to put this up, say, under a Christmas tree or something like that, and for storage, you can just pull those pins out of there. The roof is held together with the exact same pins. The whole thing breaks right back down into flat sections. You can put it back in the box it came from.
Well, amazing.
It's a clever, clever idea.
Oh, I'll say.
The doors and windows, of course, you glue in using the the UHU glue. You don't want it coming loose. This was one thing that left me a little bit wondering, because this top piece that goes on here, the decorative cornice at the top of the false front, just butt glues on there.
Oh dear.
And I thought, oh, is that going to be strong enough? But if you use that good glue,
it becomes one.
It welds that on there, and no, that isn't coming loose. So I was a little concerned at first that that whole top might want to fall off, but it's fine. Now there's little inserts that go into the front of the building here, and they're just plain plastic, and I thought, oh, those are going to look much better if I wood grain them.
Right.
To match the other, because the other stuff has a built-in wood grain. So I just drug my saw blade over that.
Yes.
Now, notice how tightly the joints fit.
I'll say.
And this is just held together with those pins. So once you put those little corner pieces in and drop the pins in place, it's tight and square and straight.
Wow.
I was super impressed with how they've designed that to work.
No kidding.
And I have yet to put the glazing in the windows, but because I can just lift those pins out, I can just drop the glazing in from the back side of this by taking it apart. I also glued the awning on at this point. Again, I was a little concerned that it would be fragile, but if you use that good glue, it's just fine. So I hauled it outside just to figure out where I want to set it.
Right.
And this is when I really noticed how small it is.
Yes, it's tiny.
And then it occurred to me that it would look better with your trick.
Yes, it's got to have window coverings.
Yeah, because there's no interior in here, and the glass is slightly frosty, but I don't want to see inside here where there's just nothing going on.
Right.
And so I'll have a little bit of the window uncovered, but for the most part, I'm using these ribbons and lace like you use on your buildings to create window coverings so that you can't get a really good look inside.
Right.
And there it is.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It's pretty much done at this point. So I hauled it outside. I set up an interior light, and oh, that isn't good.
You've got a shiny building.
It's glowing, and that's one of the problems you get with these, quote, cheaper buildings. They're made out of a thinner plastic. The Pola kits don't do this, but the Piko kits are thin enough that the light comes right through. So you gave me this idea.
Yes, this is what I've resorted to many times.
That's like an aluminum tape?
Yes, I just call it metal repair tape. It's well, they put it on ducts, furnace ducts, but it's actually aluminum, thin aluminum with sticky on one side.
And it's real easy to work with.
Oh, yeah.
I put it on the one wall and hauled this back outside, and you can see the wall to the left there has the tape on it. The front wall is still glowing like a candle.
Yes.
So I went ahead and put the tape all the way around. I still have a couple of places where it sort of shines through. But overall, looks really nice.
It does.
And that night it snowed.
Yes, and it looks like a postcard.
And it looks like a postcard, so I was very happy with it. Again, I wish it were larger. But you know what? In outdoor railroading, everything is a bit of a cheat.
It is.
The plants, by the time the grapevine... So I guess the video's over.
I guess it is.
So if you're not a subscriber to the channel, click on the blue button.
There it is.
Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring, and we will see you here next Sunday.